Now that we know what the permissions do, we have to understand how they work. So in this example I carved out, what we have, this sales managers group has the modify permission for this sales reports folder. So allow, modify. We know that means they can create new files. They can read files that are already in there. They can open subfolders. They can even delete files and folders if they choose to. There's a sales users group, and the sales users group has the read permission for the folder. So we know what that means. They can open a file, view the contents of it, but can't save changes, can't delete, or do any of those things. Well, this is a very common setup in many companies. Typically, if I have a group like sales users, every user in the company that works in the sales department will likely be a member of this group. So Bob is a member of sales users. Sales users is assigned read permission, therefore Bob has read permission. Now Bob gets promoted, so Bob is now a manager. When he gets promoted, we add Bob to the sales managers group. But I'm never going to take him out of the sales users group because, again, this has every user in the sales department. So Bob is a member of both groups. So what happens now, when Bob logs on, he ultimately gets this authentication token that says, you are a member of sales users and they have read, and you are a member of sales managers and they have modify. So Bob has both permissions. The way this works is he actually gets both permissions. So he has read access and he has modify access. Now what we will say, the effective permission is the highest. Just think of it as he gets all of them. One group says he can read, he can read. The other group says he can modify, so he can modify. Now, the way I always think of this, just so I don't confuse myself, if you take one NTFS permission plus another NTFS permission, the end result is the highest. Some people will say effective permission, but I just say combine one NTFS with another NTFS, whichever one is the highest, that is the end result. So Bob has the modify permission for this folder. He can delete, create, read, he can do all those things by way of that group membership. And if you think about it, it has to be that way. There is no way I could manage this sales users group to an extent that every time somebody was promoted and made a member of sales managers, that you had to go remove them out of sales users. There's no efficient way you could ever administer that, so it simply does not work that way. The other thing we have to be aware of, which is not often used, let's say we add a group named contractors. Contractors are denied access. So somebody explicitly clicks the deny column for all these permissions for contractors. We make Bob Ross a member of contractors as well. What happens now? Deny trumps everything. Deny is an explicit permission, meaning somebody decided, we don't want you to access this folder. We don't care what groups you are a member of or what permissions you are assigned. So just know, deny always trumps allow. Now, deny is a rarely used permission because everyone is denied access until they are allowed. Meaning, if I don't want you to have access to this folder, then you should not have been a member of a group that's assigned access. It sounds so easy to say that. But many times you'll have these broad groups like a users type group and they get assigned permission and then it's decided, oh, but wait a minute, we have contractors that are also a member of that group and they shouldn't have access to this one folder. So then sometimes companies end up going back and clicking deny. But really, if you're using deny, you have failed to plan properly. You are explicitly saying, we allowed someone access and we really didn't want to, so now we're going to try to deny them. So that's more of a footnote, but our focus is on the allow permission. Is typically what we define. But no, deny trumps everything.